The room smelled of disinfectant, the air heavy with silence except for the steady beep, beep, beep of the heart monitor. In the corner of the luxury hospital suite sat Victoria Hayes, one of the wealthiest women in the city. Her sharp suits, her diamonds, her empire worth hundreds of millions, meant nothing here. Her daughter, Emily, only 12 years old, lay weak, pale, and fragile in bed. A rare heart condition had stolen her energy, her joy, and now, her future. Doctors had finally delivered the news no parent could bear to hear. "Mrs. Hayes," one of them said gently, "your daughter has only 7 days left." 7 days. 7 sunsets. 7 nights holding her child's hand. Victoria's world collapsed. She had spent millions, traveled across countries, hired the best doctors. But money could not buy time. And when Emily whispered weakly, "Mom, I don't want to die without living first," Victoria realized she wasn't just losing her daughter. She was losing the chance to give her what she truly needed. That's when fate introduced someone she had never noticed before. Day 1, the rooftop sunrise. He was invisible to most. Marcus Johnson, the black janitor who cleaned the halls, mopped the floors, emptied the trash. To others, he was just another face in a uniform. But Marcus noticed things. He saw the fear in Emily's eyes, the desperation in Victoria's grip on her daughter's hand. And when he overheard Emily whisper, "I just want to live before I die," Marcus froze. Those words tore open a wound in his heart. Years ago, his younger sister had died of a disease they couldn't afford to treat. Her last words were hauntingly similar. That night, Marcus lay awake. He prayed. He remembered his sister's smile. And then he decided, if he couldn't save Emily's life, maybe he could give her something even more precious. A reason to smile. A taste of life before death. The next morning, Marcus walked up to Victoria nervously. "Mrs. Hayes. I know I'm just an employee here. But I think I can help Emily, if you'll let me." Victoria stared at him in disbelief. "Help? The best doctors in the world couldn't save her. What could you possibly do?" Marcus swallowed his fear. "I can't save her life, but I can make her last days worth living." Victoria almost dismissed him. But when she looked at Emily, frail and fading, she whispered, "Fine. Do whatever you think will make her happy." That morning, Marcus wheeled Emily to the hospital rooftop. Wrapped in blankets, holding a small cup of hot chocolate, Emily blinked as the golden rays of dawn stretched across the city skyline. Her lips curved into a smile, the first in weeks. "It's beautiful." Victoria covered her mouth, tears falling silently. Marcus, standing behind the wheelchair, whispered, "This is just the beginning." Day 2, cookies and laughter. The next day, Marcus showed up with a surprise. A chef's hat. An apron. And a plan. He had convinced the cafeteria staff to let Emily bake. They set her up at a counter, flour scattered everywhere. Emily's weak arms stirred cookie dough while Marcus guided her hands. Soon, the room filled with laughter as she smeared flour across her face. When the cookies came out misshapen and half-burned, Emily giggled. "They're perfect, because I made them." Victoria stood by the door, stunned. She had taken her daughter to Paris, to Michelin-star restaurants. She had bought her dresses worth more than most families' yearly income. Yet nothing compared to the joy on her face holding a crooked cookie. For the first time, Victoria began to realize happiness wasn't measured in millions. Day 3, the Song of the Soul. Marcus returned with his old, worn-out guitar. He sat beside Emily's bed and strummed gently. She watched in awe, then softly began to sing along. Her voice was weak, trembling, but alive. Soon, nurses peeked in, and even passing patients stopped to listen. The sterile hospital room transformed into a concert hall filled with warmth and music. Victoria covered her face with her hands, overwhelmed. Her daughter wasn't a patient anymore. She was just Emily, the girl who loved to sing. That night, Emily whispered to her mother, "Mom, Marcus makes me forget I'm dying." Day 4, a magical world. Word of Marcus's efforts spread through the hospital. Staff members, inspired by his kindness, wanted to help. Nurses strung fairy lights across Emily's room. Volunteers painted murals of stars and rainbows. And one nurse brought in a small puppy. When the puppy licked Emily's face, she erupted into laughter. Pure, innocent laughter that filled every corner of the ward. Victoria leaned against the wall, sobbing silently. She realized she had spent all her energy fighting death, when what her daughter needed most was a chance to live. Day 5, Freedom in the Garden. On the 5th day, Marcus organized something incredible. With a doctor's cautious approval, he wheeled Emily outside into the hospital garden. Waiting there were 2 gentle horses, brought by one of Marcus's friends. Emily's eyes widened in disbelief. "For me?" With Marcus's steady hand and Victoria's arms wrapped around her, Emily sat on a horse. The animal trotted slowly, carrying her fragile frame across the grass. Emily squealed with joy, her laughter echoing against the hospital walls. Victoria held her close, whispering, "I love you so much, baby." And Emily, pressing her head against her mother, said softly, "This is the best day ever." Day 6, the Memory Book. Marcus gave Emily a scrapbook and a Polaroid camera. They spent hours pasting photos of the rooftop sunrise, the cookies, the puppy, the horses. Emily decorated each page with colorful stickers and doodles. On the final page, with trembling hands, she wrote, "Thank you, Marcus, for helping me live before I die." When Victoria read the words, she broke down completely, clutching the book to her chest. She finally understood, her money had bought Emily comfort, but Marcus had given her daughter life. Day 7, the Promise. The final day came too quickly. Emily's breathing was shallow, her strength nearly gone. Machines beeped slower, nurses checked quietly, and the world seemed to hold its breath. Marcus sat on one side of her bed, Victoria on the other. They held her tiny hands as Emily whispered her last words. "Marcus, promise me, you'll help more kids live, even if they're dying." Marcus's voice cracked. "I promise, sweetheart. I promise." With a faint smile, Emily closed her eyes. And then, silence. Victoria's anguished cry filled the room as she collapsed onto her daughter's chest. Marcus bowed his head, tears streaming silently. But even in that heartbreaking moment, Victoria knew Emily had died with joy in her heart. Epilogue, a legacy of life. Weeks later, Victoria made a decision that shocked everyone. She sold one of her hotels and used the money to create the Emily Hayes Foundation, dedicated to giving terminally ill children experiences of joy before their final days. And she appointed Marcus as the director. The janitor once ignored by the world now stood at the heart of a movement that brought light to thousands of families. At the foundation's opening ceremony, Victoria spoke through tears. My daughter had only 7 days. But because of Marcus, those days became the most beautiful of her life. True wealth isn't measured by what we own, but by the moments we give to others. Marcus placed a hand over his heart, whispering the promise he made to Emily. And as the crowd applauded, Victoria looked up at the sky. For the first time since her daughter's passing, she smiled. Because she knew Emily was still alive. Not in body, but in every child's laughter, every smile, every memory created in her name.